Hi, what's up? Hello, my name is Liz, and you're watching for Booking Out Loud. So today we are going to do a tag. I was lovingly tagged by Book Loving Nerd to do the supermarket shopping book tag. It's a lot of words, but it's just kind of this fun tag that makes you dive into what you've read, what you like, what you dislike, and so I'm really happy to do it. So of course I will link Book Loving Nerd's tag video and their channel down below. I believe the original tag was by Byways and Bookland. That's what I could find. However, their video has been taken down. I'm still gonna link it down below, and then if you're curious about the tag questions, of course, I will write them in the description as well. So let's get into it. This tag has 11 questions, and they're all fun. Okay, question 1. List. Before going book shopping, including virtually, do you have a list? I would say if I go to a physical bookstore, I don't have a list. I think the fun part about going to a physical bookstore is finding things that you wouldn't necessarily find otherwise. Especially some independent bookstores, they usually have some great recommendations and summaries of certain books that aren't necessarily on the back of the book. However, if I'm shopping online, I do have a list, at least an Amazon wish list, where I'm like, if I have this amount of money left over, I really want to buy this book, that kind of thing. And that's also how I keep track of my TBR. Honestly, I don't do too much of the Goodreads TBR as opposed to like my shopping list on Amazon TBR. It's a weird habit and I need to break it, honestly. All right, question 2. Fruit and veg, good for the body and mind. Recommend a book that you felt improved your physical/mental health. This one was a little bit difficult just because I don't read too many self-help books. I'm not saying I don't, I just don't read too many, and I don't read too many that are significant to me. However, after I thought about this question for a while, I'd have to confess. I really like hiking books. It's kind of my guilty pleasure just because honestly, hiking books they contain information that you can just find anywhere online for free, but there's something I really like about a book. And then of course they have some great local ideas and what hiking is. So I would say a lot of these hiking books have helped me to prolong my love of hiking. Ugh, that's a big pile. All right, question 3. Tinned goods. Regardless of the label on the can, the contents are all too often bland. What's your tin can genre? I didn't have to think long for this one. I would say mystery, a good mystery horror book I will always pick up just because I'm that kind of person. And then of course, historical fiction. I have a probably unnecessarily large love for history, particularly ancient history actually. And so any book that's set in a time that I've studied or a time that I want to learn more about, I will always pick up. All right, question 4. Meat/fish counter. Prepared by a skilled butcher or fishmonger, just how you want it. Tell us about a book you felt was written just for you. Well, okay. So the first one is always going to be World War Z. And again, I promise this is World War Z. I don't know. There you go. So my first one is going to be World War Z. I didn't know I wanted a like interview style book, but it hits all my love of like apocalyptic zombie type book. It just has so many like realistic options in this book, like denial, government lies, government's conspiracy, consumerism, and just unpreparedness. And each story like gives you a level, and it is almost a realistic depiction of a zombie war, which I absolutely love. Love zombies, love apocalyptic books, and I love to see the progression of end of world. Again, I'm weird. I cannot explain it, but this book for sure. And then I would say another one is going to be Homegoing by Yagasi. Like I just said, I absolutely love historical fiction. I love historical fiction that gives you substance in a character, but you can really see it happening in the time period it's taking place in. And Yagasi is able to do that with so many characters over 2 countries and over like a 200-year period. She blows it out of the water, and I just absolutely adored it. Highly recommend. All right, question 5. Baked goods. Bread is a staple for many around the world. Who is an author you can easily digest at any time of the day? Okay, so at this point, I believe I've read 4 of her books, but I'm gonna have to say Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was the first one I read by her, and I absolutely loved it. It was the interview style. It had this very humanistic and realistic idea to a band trope, and I just love her writing. Somehow it just gets to me. And I would say now, after reading Evelyn Hugo, Maybe in Another Life, and All In, not All In, After I Do, that I'm pretty confident that Taylor Jenkins Reid will be an author that I will forever be able to pick up and love her books. Knowing that I just said that, I'm probably going to eat my words the next book that I read by her, but life. All right, question 6, chilled section. Recommend a cool new author or book you recently discovered. So again, I'm going to cheat because this is my video and I can do what I want. But it's not an author I've recently discovered. I picked up his books a couple years ago and then completely forgot how much I loved him. And it was only like 1 or 2 books. However, I reread one of those books, and it's going to be Under Heaven by Guy Gavriel Kay. And like I said, historical fiction, right? It hits everything I love about historical fiction. Guy Gavriel Kay, I don't know what he does. Extensive research, traveling. One way or another, this man is able to produce beautifully written, historically accurate books. And it's just something that I've recently discovered, and I'm definitely planning on diving into his written works in the future. Question 7, Frozen section. Tell us about a book that gave you the shivers. All right, I know I've talked about it before, but I think my favorite horror book of last year is honestly going to be The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This book hits so many things. It is absolutely phenomenal. You have a beautifully horrored book. You have a group of friends that did something bad, and it's this looming presence behind you, and then it also has this like realistic fantasy type element, and it just also those beautiful descriptions. Beautiful. And I would definitely say this one. However, I think a close follow-up is one that I also recently just read, is going to be Nick Cutter's The Troop. I can't get over some of those descriptions. you do not want to eat while you are reading that book, point blank. And that's all I'll say about it. Okay, question 8. Beers, wines, spirits. Name one of the first books you read that made you feel like an adult. And I think I talked about this book before, but the truly big book, my first big book when I was younger was let's just put it out there. The truly big book that I've read when I was younger is going to be Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I remember vividly, I was in 4th grade and we had this reading time and you had to pick a book, yada, yada, yada. And I decided to read this book with the guy sitting across from me. And we just had a beautiful time reading and discussing this book. And it was really what started our friendship. And I will say, even though we didn't go to middle school together, we were able to still contact each other and discuss the books that came out after we left elementary school. So I believe that was Eldest and Inheritance, which was really fun. So it wasn't just the first big book I read, it was probably my first buddy read. Thinking back on it, it was great. It was great. This is a great book too, from what I remember. Okay, question 9. Sweets/candy. What genre/author is your indulgence when you need a little treat read? I would say without a doubt it's going to be YA fantasy or YA romance. I'm not saying that YA is like an easier read. I would say it's just my go-to when I need something with a little less darkness to it or a little more like fluff. Supposedly nothing too bad happens in YA books. Actually, no. If I can pick a good YA fantasy or YA romance, it's kind of like my quick read, go through, and I just love fluff. That's what I love. Okay, question 10 is magazine stand. If you read magazines or journals regularly, share some titles with us. So I have to admit, I don't subscribe to any magazines or any journals. If I want the news, I go online. If I want to learn more about something, I go online. And I'm not too much into a journal read. However, two books that I've recently read were kind of like this. So to answer this question, I'm going to cheat and use these books. So the first one, without a doubt, is going to be Humans of New York by Brandon Stanton. And you might have heard about it, you might have not, but this book is really a compilation of a photography project he started, 10 years ago or something? And it's just taking pictures of people and telling their story, really. And also it's just gorgeous. And it just really brings out the humanity. And this one in particular takes place in New York. And then of course, as he got bigger and his channel got bigger, Instagram got bigger, Facebook got bigger, what have you, he started going abroad and going to other countries to do the exact same thing. Take a picture and interview people to really show their humanity. And so last year he also came out with Humans, which is just humans. And it's the same format. You have a picture and then you have a story with this. But you can definitely see the progression because you have more of a story than in Humans of New York. Still gorgeous pictures though. So that's my cheat on that question. It works. Now the final question, question 11, is checkout. Time to go home and unpack, tag some shoppers on their way in. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I think this is a really fun tag and I think a lot of people should do it just because why not? So I'm not gonna tag anyone specifically, but if you are looking for a tag video and you come across this one, or maybe you're just a watcher of Blurb Booking Out Loud and you want to do this, I highly suggest you do, and I tag you in that case. But that is it for this tag. Like I said, it's really fun to do, and I'm really glad Book Loving Nerd tagged me, so thank you. And I will see you next time. I hope you have a great day. Bye.